Hong Kong, the brash, vibrant symbol of capitalism clinging to the shores of communist China. Hong Kong is Chinese for fragrant harbour, which perhaps in 1987 is stretching the imagination a little. Thousands of sampans, junks and water taxis, indeed craft of every shape, size and description, fill the harbours and creeks along the Kowloon Hong Kong shoreline. It's from the ocean ferry terminal Kowloon, across the water from Hong Kong Island, that the third international Hong Kong-Beijing Rally begins. Traditional dragon dancers chase away evil spirits, which will please the competitors who will need all the help they can get. The pipe band of the Gurkha Regiment entertain the large crowd, and we take the opportunity of talking to number 3 seed, ex-world champion Ari Vatanen.
Well, I'm expecting a good rally because I heard it's run on a good stages. It's going to be very different from any other rally anyway, so that's the fact what matters. It's going to be a jump into unknown. Kevin is a professional co-driver, but I have never been with him. He has made the notes on his own system, the one I'm not quite used to. So it will take a few stages to get used to, but nevertheless it's going to be a good adventure.
An adventure indeed, which everyone looks forward to. The atmosphere relaxed and informal.
That's all we can do. Yeah.
The main protagonists are the teams from Ford, Nissan and Toyota. The skirl of the pipes still echo as Stig Blomqvist and Bruno Berglund of Sweden wait for the seconds to tick away and the flag to drop. Another Swede, Bjorn Waldegard, is hoping that this year will be the third time lucky for him after failing to finish in 85 and 86. The second four-wheel drive Sierra is in the hands of Ari Vatanen, the likeable Finn untroubled by the large Swedish contingent, claiming it will take at least 4 Swedes to beat one Finn. Part of that Swedish contingent is young Lars-Erik Torp in the second Toyota Supra. Behind him, Per Eklund and Dave Wittek leading a trio of Nissans. On paper, not quite as quick as the opposition, but strength and reliability are their main assets. The leading Chinese driver is Lu Ningyun, entered in a Mitsubishi Starion. And as he heads out of Kowloon through the new territories towards the border crossing, he must be hoping he can repeat his second place of last year. Clerk of the course Phil Taylor leads the convoy through the border, where the Chinese authorities process the mass of paperwork with the minimum of delay.
Homes are soon on their way, through enthusiastic crowds en route to the first competitive section at Huyang.
Thousands of spectators converge on the stage from every village for miles around. After all, for some of them, this will be the first time they've seen a car, let alone a brightly painted, high-powered rally machine. Stig Blomqvist takes 4th fastest time on this opening test after fuel feed problems. Quickest through the 30-kilometre test is veteran Waldegard and Toyota Supra.
Vatanen has to settle for 5th fastest time, 1 second slower than Blomqvist. His car neither sounds nor looks quick. For Waldegard's teammate Lars-Erik Torp, disaster, when his axle breaks halfway through the section and his rally is over. Already there are some worried faces in the Toyota camp. Per Eklund in the Nissan Silvia certainly sounds noisy enough, and he posts 2nd fastest time, albeit 40 seconds behind Waldegard. Mike Kirkland and teammate Iwashita have been rallying Nissans for many years and are almost certainly to be in the frame at the finish. Third and sixth fastest times respectively are their reward on this opening stage. Lu Ning-yun was off to a good start, taking things nice and steady to record a top 10 time. Most of the middle and lower order did not have the benefit of a pre-rally route check, and therefore were driving on site, rather than with a distinct advantage of pace notes. This was to cost some of them dear. Teruo Sagita's Honda is well and truly stuck. Despite pleading to the large crowd, neither he nor his attractive co-driver Riko Mushui could entice them into the pond. Much of this was due to the police, who refused to allow anyone near the roads, let alone come within pushing distance of a rally car. Once he realized the position was hopeless, Sagita wisely began slowing other competitors down, before even more joined him for an early bath. Australians Ross Dunkerton and Harry Manson, seated way down at 44 in a standard Corolla, set an incredible 8th fastest time. While some of the locals carry on as normal, things for Paul Fan and Alan Ma from Hong Kong couldn't have been more abnormal. Trapped upside down in the water, only the prompt action of the film crew, who jumped into the pond and organised a rescue attempt, prevented a possible tragedy. After 3 special stages, crews enjoyed an 11-hour break at Tsung Hao. The next morning, the convoy headed north through the beautiful countryside of the Nanling province, via a further 4 stages and an overnight halt at Lai Ling. Although first car on the road, Blomqvist was actually in 3rd position, but was determined to make up the deficit, beating Waldegard by 31 seconds on the opening test. Waldegard certainly knew he had a fight on his hands. On this stage, Vatanen even found time to weigh, but with a car obviously down on power, he could not have been happy with his performance, almost 3 minutes behind Blomqvist. The Nissans were proving as consistent as ever, even though Kirkland managed a spin here which did nothing to improve his 4th position. Iwashita continued to hold 5th place. Roadside service after 3 stages. For Stig, the opportunity of a welcome drink. With temperatures in the 90s and 80% humidity, dehydration was a big problem. Ari was also glad of the break. It was certainly proving hot work, and he was no longer mentioning how many Swedes it was taking to beat one Finn. The Chinese spectators headed home in orderly fashion once the action was over. Competitors drove through the paddy fields and rolling hills towards the halt at Lai Ling. The Chinese spectators who turned out in their tens of thousands were orderly, friendly, and indeed polite in the extreme. They showed a keen interest and curiosity in everything that was going on, And who can blame them when it took them over 1 month of hard work to earn sufficient to buy a bicycle? They were watching a lifetime savings drive past them every 2 minutes. Day 2 ended with Waldegard still at the head of the pack of 44 survivors who made it to the halt at Lai Ling. A dull, misty morning heralded the start of Day 3, and a section that was to take crews ever northward towards the great industrial centre of Wuhan on the banks of the Yangtze River. The logistics of organising an event like the Hong Kong-Beijing Rally are immense. Every special stage is run over closed roads. Policemen are positioned at every junction and in every village. The local party officials and village elders have their own grandstand at which to enjoy the stage start. Blomqvist fought tooth and nail with Waldegard all day, but still was to arrive in Wuhan in second position. Bjorn Waldegard had so far stayed out of trouble, setting very quick times over the smooth, flowing gravel stages. For Ari Vatanen, the end was in sight. His ambition to head the field into Beijing was about to crumble. With newfound power and the bit between his teeth, he would, as predicted at the previous service halt, give it a real go. This proved to be his undoing. Whether it was the strange pace notes, over-exuberance, or what, the fact remains he clipped a tree and damaged the rear suspension. By the time he limped off the stage, he was out of time. For Per Eklund and Dave Wittek too, the end was just around the corner. They had already survived an exciting moment when their steering failed, and were now about to retire with a blown engine, a bitter disappointment after holding a good third place for so long. Dull skies and the dirty brown waters of the mighty Yangtze River at Wuhan greet the surviving 34 competitors. A nice touch for one British crew is the warm welcome from the local staff of their sponsors' Chinese agents. For some to have made it thus far is obviously an achievement. One who didn't, of course, was Ari Vatanen.
Well, I cannot say that I didn't hit anything. No.
A small tree. Was the tree worse than the wear of the car?
No, tree was too close to the road, that's all.
Yeah.
It's
never mind.
Never mind.
Thank you for trying as hard as you did with a car that obviously wasn't on full power.
The morning of day 4, and Waldegard pulls in for service, still in front and showing the effort it was taking to maintain his lead.
All right, Bjorn. Okay.
There are few roadside filling stations in China. The organisers arranging for fuel supplies to be brought in from Hong Kong. Stig Blomqvist arrives with his front wheel askew. And whilst there's rivalry between the teams, the Ford driver pauses for a brief word with his fellow countrymen.
What happened to Stig, Bjorn?
He said the front suspension collapsed just near the end, so the front wheel had a nice camber.
Frank, come and get some gloves on and give Pip a hand. Do exactly what Pip tells you to do.
In the Ford service area, organised chaos prevails as mechanics rush to repair the damage under the watchful eye of team manager Andy Dawson.
Totally undrivable. Well.
No, not really, but okay, the damper was completely.
Okay, so it's broken the spindle at the very top.
Because you don't want to try to destroy more.
The route follows the main railway line to the rest halt at Cheng Chau, where the scenes greeting the surviving 26 crews were quite remarkable. For 8 kilometres into the control, thousands of people had filled the road. The local traffic police had to resort to an unusual form of crowd control. Day 4, and the most spectacular stage of the rally, the Chinese equivalent of the Grand Canyon. During the closing stages of the previous day, Stig Blomqvist had managed to sneak ahead of Waldegard and now set about increasing his lead, beating the Toyota driver by 39 seconds on this stage. The stage featured a tunnel hacked right through the mountain, and the sound as cars burst into sight was tremendous, the exhaust note echoing around the mountain tops. Mike Kirkland continued to hold third position, with his teammate Iwashiza right behind him in fourth place. Japanese driver Takahira was performing well in his private Nissan Pulsar, lying in fifth position. Toshiaki Endo was recovering from his earlier mishap when he put his Nissan 240 RS off the road. He too held a top 10 place. But one wonders what the locals really think about it all. Ross Dunkerton and Harry Manson were in 7th place, beating many more powerful cars with a tremendous drive in their little Corolla. For most of the remaining crews, the main priority now is to take things steady and reach the finish in Beijing in one piece. Chang Senpai is now the sole survivor of the three-car Chinese Mitsubishi team. On only their first ever rally, the British duo of Sykes and Dean Smith hold 20th position. Over half the field have now dropped out and fallen by the wayside. Some of them, quite literally. This crew went off on a link section when they lost concentration for vital seconds. During the closing stages of the fifth day, a torrential downpour made the tarmac stages very slippy, an additional hazard everyone could well do without. With only 3 stages to go, it looked as if the 555 team were about to record their third successive victory. Fate, however, was to deal them a cruel blow. On the first stage of the final morning, a long 91-kilometre test of loose gravel, Stig Blomqvist stopped with a mysterious electrical fault for an agonising 2.5 minutes. Waldegard was now into the lead. Mike Kirkland held second position. As mysteriously as it had stopped, the car fired up again, but by now it was too late. And so it was Bjorn Waldegard and Fred Gallagher in their Toyota Supra who roared through the Great Wall of China to the finish in the Avenue of the Animals near the Ming Tombs, Beijing. Blomqvist was the first to congratulate Waldegard. It had been a great fight right to the end. All that remained was for the 23 survivors to make the traditional drive in convoy to the Tiananmen Square in Beijing for the official prize presentation. The Hong Kong to Beijing Rally is unique. A challenge, certainly. An adventure, most definitely.